Do you believe in ghosts? If you do, then stick around because these are the top 10 most haunted cities in the world. Number 10, Canberra, Australia. Canberra is the capital of Australia, but it is also the capital of hauntings. Many places in Canberra that are haunted include the Blundell's Cottage, the old Canberra Hospital, but the most haunted of them all is the Hotel Kurrajong. Kurrajong is the most haunted hotel in all of Australia and has many reports of shadowy figures wandering the hallways at nighttime. And people have even seen the old Prime Minister there who died of a heart attack in one of the rooms. Coming in at the number 9 spot is San Antonio, Texas. San Antonio is famous for the Alamo, but is not even recognized for its haunted history. The Alamo battlefield is of course a haunted hotspot for ghosts and ghost hunters who come there annually to hunt for ghosts. And multiple hotels like the Black Swan Inn and Menger's Hotel, which are located in the vicinity of the Alamo, have had multiple claims of spirits outside of the hotel during the evening and even inside of the building in the hallways. Coming in at the number 8 spot is Pevoglia Island. This island, located southwest of Venice, dates back over 4,000 years. It served as a refuge island for Romans fleeing the Italian mainland due to barbaric invasions. Later in the 14th century, when the bubonic plague swept through Europe, the island was used to keep some of the people who had gotten ill with the plague. And some accounts even say that some of the people with the disease got burned at the stake before they could even die of the plague. And for centuries to come, when there were more plagues throughout Europe and the world, the island was used for the same purpose over and over again until the year 1790, when it was decided that it would be used to house the mentally ill. Today, the island is abandoned and traveling there is prohibited. Coming in at number 7 is Rome, Italy. It comes as no surprise that Rome is old. Like really old. The Sant'Angelo Bridge, originally completed in the year 135 AD, was one of the busiest and most used bridges in Rome. In the year 1450, the bridge started to crack and crumble and eventually collapsed, crushing and drowning hundreds of people beneath it. The bridge was later reconstructed in the 16th century and then was used to hang criminals. To this day, pedestrians report seeing people hung by the neck on the bridge, even though there's nobody on the bridge. There is also a small church in the Italian countryside that houses a creepy type of catacomb system beneath it called the Capuchin Crypt. The crypt is filled with over 4,000 bodies, and sometime during its use, some monks decided to walk into the crypt and die while standing up. And some of their bodies are fully intact with their clothes still on. Number 6, Savannah, Georgia. Savannah is one of the largest cities in Georgia and the oldest, thus the most haunted. In 1807, yellow fever broke out in the city and killed 30% of the population and continued to plague Savannah for the rest of the century. With multiple Revolutionary and Civil War battles occurring in the city, it is no doubt that it's haunted. The Hamilton Turner's Inn, Marshall House, Pirates House, Kehoe House, and the Bonaventure Cemetery are all some of Savannah's most haunted places, with the Kehoe House being the most haunted of them all. Legend has it that 2 boys died while playing in the fireplace of the house, and they now haunt the living room and the hallways. Guests who stay at the B&B can report hearing laughing and playing and giggling coming from the living room and hallway, and some guests have even felt somebody sitting on the edge of their bed, and when they go to check there is nobody there, and they have sometimes even found warmth and indentations in their bed. Coming in hot at number 5 is London, England. London is the largest and one of the oldest cities in the UK, dating back over 2,000 years. In those 2,000 years, London has cultivated some pretty haunted places, such as the Brookside Theatre, the Theatre Royal, the Bruce Castle, and much more, but none as much as the Tower of London. The historic castle has seen its fair share of execution, murder, and disappearances in its nearly 1,000 years of history. Some tourists report seeing two boys wandering around the corridors. Tourists also see a headless woman pacing around the stairwell. This is supposedly the ghost of Anne Boleyn. When Anne was set to be executed, she escaped her executioner, and when her executioner caught up to her, he hacked her to death and cut her head off. And now she supposedly haunts the castle. Who would have thought? Number 4, Paris, France. Paris, just like London, is huge and also extremely old. Because of Paris's age, it has seen its fair share of plagues, like the Black Plague. Back in the 14th century, locals began to complain to the city about the smell and sight of the bodies just laying in the street. The city decided to dig underneath the city and put the bodies there. That is actually exactly what the catacombs are. There are over 6 million dead bodies inside of the 200-mile Paris catacomb systems. This is the largest graveyard in the entire world, and is also the most haunted. Legend has it that if you're inside of the catacombs after midnight, you will start to hear disembodied voices coming from the walls. They will try to persuade you to venture deeper and deeper and deeper into the catacombs until you cannot find the way out. You will then get lost and die. Coming in at the number 3 spot is Edinburgh, Scotland. Edinburgh lives in the shadows of multiple British cities, but what lives in the shadows of Edinburgh? Of course, in the 1600s, there were witch trials, which burned 500 witches at the stake. Edinburgh is also home to the most haunted cemetery in all of Scotland, and one of the most haunted castles in the entire world, the Edinburgh Castle, where tourists have spotted a headless drummer boy and a group of phantom French soldiers. And others have even heard devilish screeching coming from the castle at nighttime. And if you hear a dog barking in the old Edinburgh's town, it could be Bobby, a phantom Skye Terrier that guarded his owner's grave for over 14 years. When Bobby then passed away, he was buried near his owner, and he apparently now roams the cemetery. To this day, people still hear his little bark. And coming in at the number 2 spot is New Orleans, Louisiana. New Orleans is the most haunted city in the Americas. In the 1800s, a massive yellow fever pandemic swept through America, and New Orleans was one of the cities that was heavily affected. Between the years of 1853 and 1878, over 41,000 poor souls succumbed to yellow fever. At its peak, people started to move out of the city, and it's said that 1 out of every 10 people who stayed behind died. And now, those people roam the streets. The most haunted place, however, is the LaLaurie Mansion. This mansion probably has the worst backstory of any mansion on this planet, to be honest. Back in the 1830s, a woman named Delphine LaLaurie, who's the owner of the mansion, was a complete psychopath. She would kidnap slaves, keep them in her attic, torture them, beat them, and murder them. This was only discovered after a fire started in the kitchen and spread to the entire mansion. When firefighters arrived to the fire, they ventured up to the attic and opened the door to the room where the slaves were kept. What they found was horrific. They found 7 slaves hung by the neck with their limbs dislocated. The authorities came and arrested LaLaurie. People claim that the LaLaurie Mansion is cursed, and that if you spend the night there, you will hear moaning coming from other rooms. And coming in at the number 1 most haunted city in the entire world is Prague in the Czech Republic. Prague is the most haunted city in the entire world, but it's really nothing that you should be proud of. For starters, at St. James Church, there is a real-life human arm dangling from a meat hook outside of the church. This is believed to be the arm of a thief who tried to steal a necklace off of a statue of Mary inside of the church. Mary grabbed his arm and wouldn't let go. His accomplices then chopped off his arm, and Mary let go of his arm. People found his arm and hung it outside of the church as a warning to other people to not steal from the church. Another church in Prague, called the Church of Bones, has over 40,000 dead bodies buried beneath it and over 4,000 bones dangling from the ceiling. Back in the 19th century, a man by the last name of Faust, who owned the house, summoned Satan and tried to make a pact with him. The deals went poorly and he got kidnapped by Satan. The man was never seen again. And if you dare to enter the Faust house, you could come into contact with Satan himself. While all of these places are cursed and haunted, none of them are as haunted as the Huska Castle, also known as the Gateway to Hell, also known as one of the most haunted places in the world. This castle was originally built over a large hole in the ground, and when it was completed, prisoners would be lowered into the hole as a punishment. When they would be brought back up, they appeared to have aged 30 years or more. This hole is supposedly the gateway to hell. Many sightings of demons crawling out of the hole at nighttime have been reported, and there have been humanoid skeletons found in the castle. The worst part of this, however, is that if you enter the castle at night, you will have entered hell itself. I hope that you really enjoyed this video, guys. If you did, make sure to give it a like and subscribe so that I know that you like these videos and that you want more of them. Anyways, I'll see you in the next one.